JFD, just fair and direct.
Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today's the 9th of June 2021. So yep, welcome everyone. Welcome to this Wednesday's morning session where we're going to have a very quick look at the markets as always, guys. Yeah, before we do that, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation. It should not be considered as such and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, I'll give you a few seconds to read the rest and we can continue. Okay, also just before we jump into the charts, quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos. And of course, our JFD Bank website and specifically our JFD research page, which we also update on a daily basis. I believe you can find something useful here for yourselves, guys. So check us out here on jfdbank.com and click on the research tab right there on the top. So now then, I can see in the chat room here, good morning to you too, Erica. Hope you're having a wonderful start of Wednesday. So yeah, guys, coming back to the charts. So yesterday, I talked about this one, of course, and we saw the index kind of still trading in between the two lines here, in between these two trend lines. But today, yep, it exited through it broke the upside support line here and drifted a little bit lower. However, as you can see, it remained still above the 21-day EMA. It tested it, but still remained above it. So the idea here that I was talking about, that for the downside I need to see a drop below the 28,000. Observing this one, I'm just kind of watching this one from a side, because for me that's not really clear yet, because in a way it could reverse even back to the upside, it could travel higher again. So yeah, guys, certain things like that need to be considered. So for now, long story short, I'm just gonna continue observing this one. Of course, we are closer to this area here, but don't get me wrong, if the 21-day EMA continues to provide support, another push higher could be possible, and then we'll keep an eye on the downside resistance line taken from the high of the 6th of April. And then we'll take it from there, of course. In terms of the economic calendar, by the way, guys, today, so it's relatively quiet. We did get some figures already, for example, the Chinese CPI numbers, which came out a little bit on the lower side from the forecast, but on the higher side from the previous numbers. So it depends how you're going to look at it. So in a way, still not a bad performance. However, it didn't really do as well as expected. So yeah, maybe no changes around, no kind of fluctuations in there. In terms of today's data here in Europe, we got the German export numbers, but that's not really a huge market mover. Probably the main focus today will be on the BOC, so the Bank of Canada, and its interest rate decision. Now, currently, of course, the rate expectation is to keep it the same, keep it at plus 0.25. But of course, it will be interesting to see how the Canadian dollar reacts to it, and of course, understandable, the Canadian pairs. But I'll get to a few of those in a bit. Now, jumping into Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index, just a quick update on this one. We're drifting a little bit lower here. However, to be honest, as I've mentioned to you previously, that for me, all this area right here will remain neutral, because below the upside line, but above this downside line. So yeah, for me, all this is going to be neutral. In order to go for lower levels, well, what I'm going to look at here is I'll wait for a drop below this 24th of May low near the 28,195 zone. Of course, don't get me wrong. First of all, we can get rid of this here, this downside. Actually, no. You know what? there we go. Sorry for jumping around like this, but basically no, I'm gonna keep these two lines for now. I just want to see how this, if this downside line actually gonna provide support or not. So yeah, let's wait on this one. But for now, long story short, basically, if you wanna, let's say, aim for lower levels, what you can do here is, for example, you could keep an eye on the current lowest point of June near the 28,615 territory. A nice drop below it could, yep, open the door just towards slightly lower levels. We could initially aim here for this 100-day EMA here shown as the green line, or this downside line to see if we can test it from above here. But again, for now, guys, like I said, it's a bit of a tricky one. For the upside, for example, well, we do have the highest point of June right here near the 29,490 zone, but I do understand that maybe we could be missing out here on a bit of territory, so that's why if we climb back above the current highest point of this week, and that's roughly, let me just put this one on the chart, and that's roughly around here, the 29,004 zone. If we climb above it, then yes, we could maybe consider a move back towards the current highest point of June near the 29,490 territory, and then of course we'll take it from there. But again, that's in overall, let's say I'm kind of neutral here, but if you're looking for something like from very short term to capture here, then maybe this idea could work out. But again, it's a tricky one still. Don't get me wrong. For example, what could happen here is we could drift lower below this 28,615 territory. We could drop below it, test the 100-day EMA, and then at the end of the day reverse back up and close above this 28,615 territory, and this way kind of forming a false breakout. But again, I'm not saying that this could happen, but I mean this will happen, but this could happen, of course. So keep your eyes on that. The German index, the DAX. So yesterday we drifted a little bit to the downside here. So we've came close to testing the all-time high, but as you can see, so far kind of this idea is working out, the one that I kept talking about. So the idea was that if we go and create an all-time high, and we overcome the previous all-time high and then go create an all-time high, but the same day we actually close below the previous all-time high, then well, I mean, maybe we could see a bit of a corrective move lower. So this is kind of partially, I would say, it's working out right now. So we are seeing that correction lower. The cash index is currently trading at around 15,647 territory, approximately, where it closed yesterday. So let's see if we can actually see a bit of a move to the downside here, towards some of these upside lines, because again, we can't really get way too comfortable with the downside scenario, because basically we do have a bunch of upside lines, although tentative, but nevertheless upside lines, which could play out nicely here. So yeah, initially I'm going to aim for this little short-term tentative upside line taken from the low, the 27th of May, and then we'll take it from there, guys. Now, Euro Stocks 50, something that I don't look at very often, but sometimes I do like to look at this one. And basically yesterday we formed somewhat of a shooting star here, so potential reversal signal. Again, we'll keep an eye on it, of course. Currently looking at the cash index, we're seeing that the price is trading at around 4,100 levels, so just fractionally above yesterday's close, but that's still okay. So let's see how this is going to play out today, if we're going to get a bit of a drift to the downside. And certainly similar story as with the German DAX. We also have a bunch of short-term tentative there we go, just bear with me one moment, short-term tentative upside lines which could get tested. So the first one that I'm keeping an eye on here is, of course, this one right here, taken from the low, the 27th of May. We could maybe see a bit of a test of it, and if it holds, then yep, a nice rebound here could be possible. But if it breaks, now this is where it could become very interesting for a few more sellers, because we could then drift towards the next little short-term tentative upside line taken from the low, the 13th of May. And yep, we could initially, before that, of course, we could test the 21-day EMA. That would be interesting to see how it holds or not. If it doesn't, then yes, like I said, this upside line could be a possibility for a test. So again, but for all that, guys, I mean, we need to see a better move to the downside here. Yes, there is an indication that we could see maybe a bit of a reversal signal here, but then all eyes are going to be on this little short-term upside line taken from the low of the 27th of May. DXY, guys, DXY, the dollar index. So to be honest, not much is happening here, and basically we're still kind of trading above this upside line taken from the low of the 25th of May, but below the 21-day EMA and this 90.23 barrier. So in other words, for now, I mean, we have to just remain calm here, and I would say that this scenario is still valid. That if we see a drop lower and then this upside line provides good support, we could see a nice rebound here. But if this upside line gets broken and the price falls below the 89.68 territory, then yes, lower levels could be met. I can see more people joining in here in the chat room here. Yep, Evo, good morning to you too. Upsala, yep, good morning to you as well. So I hope everybody's having a wonderful, wonderful start of Wednesday, guys. So yeah, I hope you're all positive and everything, because I mean, you need to approach your markets with positivity and have a clear mind. So yeah. Coming back to the charts here, gold, for example, gold is kind of respecting this downside line, I would say. So this is what I talked about yesterday, and basically that I said to you that overall, yeah, we are kind of trading above this upside line taken from below the 31st of March, so that's great news. But at the same time, as you can see, this downside line taken from the high of the 1st of June is providing a resistance, still providing a resistance. So if we want to go for some higher levels, well, I mean, we need to see first of all a break of this downside line and a push above the psychological 1900 level. So far, we're not really getting that. Instead, we're seeing this downside line kind of remaining intact. Can we see a drop lower here? Now, of course, I'm keeping an eye on this 1890 territory, because as you can see yesterday, we got a drop below it, but again, the daily candle remained above it. But the body of the daily candle remained above it. So today we're seeing similar story. We're still so far trading above this 1890 territory, but if we drop and stay below this, then yes, maybe we could consider a bit of a decline here towards this upside line. WTI oil, very quickly on this one, beautiful reversal here. I mean, okay, I need to admit that initially I said that we might see a bit of a corrective move and maybe even towards this 68 territory, yeah, we kind of we went there, but fell shy by around something like 50 points from hitting that 68 zone. It's kind of worked out, kind of not. I mean, depends how you're going to approach this. And basically, yes, the kind of partially, I would say, yes, it worked out because we saw that correction, not maybe exactly towards the 68 zone, but towards the 68.50 territory. And then we started reversing back up, and you can see now this area, the level right here. And let me just there we go. Zoom out here a little bit. So this 70.54 territory, the one that I mentioned previously, got tested. And that level is, let me just scroll back here a little bit. That level is the low of the 11th of October of 2018. So so far, this is where we're getting a little hold up. Can we move further north? I would say that now at this point I will be a little bit on the careful side, because again, if we struggle to move above this straight away, then maybe we could see a bit of a corrective move lower. However, if we climb above that hurdle and we stay above that hurdle, then yes, we could potentially start aiming maybe for some even higher levels. And this is where we need to kind of review some higher levels. And let me just bear with me one moment. So yep, okay. So this is where I need to probably grab this line and we'll recycle it. And yep, this is what I'm gonna capture here. So this little level right here, the high of the 17th of October of 2018, and that area is roughly around the 72.41 zone. So basically that could be our next target. However, for that I need to see the body of the daily candle remaining above the 70.54 territory. Bitcoin, so Bitcoin, yeah, drifting a little bit lower here, but basically it's a little bit annoying, I would say, because my idea was initially that if we break this upside line and we drop below the 33,333 territory, this could open the door towards the psychological 30,000 mark. And as you can see, yesterday it did that. It did drop lower below this hurdle. It went towards that 30,000 mark, but didn't really quite reach it. And instead it kind of reversed and stayed above the that 33,333 level. And now you can see that we are kind of still trading above that area and slightly above that area, of course, but nevertheless above that area. So if you want to go for the downside again, another drop below this hurdle is needed, because at the moment it's very tricky here. It might not, for example, let me just grab. It might not even, let's say, go lower if it continues to trade above that. Above that 33,333 territory. It might rebound here and move back to the upside. However, we do have this little tentative downside line right here, taken from the high of the 20th of May, which could, in a way, provide a bit of resistance here if we do see a corrective move higher. But again, it's one of those, I mean, when it's not really as clear as it should be. So for now, I would say that if we continue to trade above this barrier here, then yes, maybe we could see a bit of a corrective move higher. But if we travel higher but struggle to overcome the downside line together with the 21-day EMA, then yep, another slide here could be possible. So keep that in mind. Now, Dogecoin. So this one, I don't look at this one very often, but nevertheless, sometimes it is interesting. But basically, for now, it seems to be very technical. Continues to respect this upside line taken from the low of the 13th of April. So yep, in a way, everything's looking quite nice here, I would say. But at the moment, I mean, if this upside line, of course, continues to provide support, then yes, we could see a nice rebound and a push higher. However, I would rather wait for a push back above the 21-day EMA in order to, wrong line. There we go. Wrong line, guys. There we go. Okay, there we go, this one. So yeah, I would rather wait for a pushback above the 21-day EMA and maybe a push above the 0.30, well, let's round it up here a little bit, 0.38 territory right here. And then, yes, go for the upside. But at the moment, I mean, we also have some downside lines here. I mean, of course, a bit tentative, but nevertheless, these downside lines could still be somehow valid a little bit. So, for example, this one taken from the high of the 14th of May. So in a way, I mean, you probably see it yourselves that this is a little bit tricky. I mean, it's coiling up again, it's getting squeezed, so we need to kind of wait for that move in order to get a little bit more comfortable with the next short-term directional move. So for example, for the downside, yes, we need to see a break of that that upside line and maybe a drop also below this little territory. But somehow it seems that it might probably this level could be a little bit better one, the 0.28 zone, because in a way it also kind of almost coincides with the 100-day EMA. So just to be a little bit more on the safe side, so basically this level here is required basically because okay, let me just refresh this because I was reading Evo's question here and this has got kind of got distracted here a little bit. Evo, could you please clarify exactly what do you mean? What are you referring to? Because I'm not really kind of getting the question. Sorry, but coming back to the Dogecoin here, so basically, like I said, just to be a little bit more on the safe side, a break of this upside line and a drop below this 0.28 territory would be required, just because, like I said, if we break the upside line here and just start aiming lower, then we could get a hold up somewhere around here. This is a very nice area for support, together, like I said, together with this 100-day EMA. But for the upside, we need to see a break of this downside line together with a break of this 0.38 territory, and so that's why we're kind of stuck here with Dogecoin. Now, jumping into AUD and ZD very quickly. So this one I've talked about previously, and said to you that if we struggle to get back above the 61.8% retracement here in the Fibonacci, then we could see another slide lower. However, we would prefer to wait for a drop below the 50% retracement here on the Fibonacci. And you can see we pushed above this area, above the 200-day EMA, and what I said then was that if we climb above the 61.8% retracement of the Fibonacci and we stay above it, then my next target is this downside line, taken from the high of the 29th of March. As you can see, so just a second, if I can take the Dogecoin as Dogecoin is it's something that's cannot yes, it's up to everybody, I would say. Somebody likes it, somebody doesn't, so that's why I'm just kind of giving it out there, and there are people who are interested, so it's if you can make money out of something, guys, I mean, yes, I mean, I bow down to you, so it's great. So I mean, but everybody has an opinion, I mean, about all this, so somebody likes it, somebody doesn't, so let's let's respect everybody's preferences and choices. So yeah, guys, I mean, like I said, it's out there. You might see it as a serious thing, might see it not as a serious thing. So it's up to everybody, as I said. So coming back to AUD NZD, like I said, now we've tested the downside line, so that's okay, good result. So the kind of the result is achieved here, and we had that test. So yep, great. Kind of great news. Now the big question here is where we go from here. Now, previously, first of all, actually not previously, but first of all, we're going to get rid of the Fibonacci level here. Then no longer needed. Had a good run. Now the big question here is, can we break this downside line? So of course, I'll have to wait here, and we'll have to see what it does further. If it pushes through this downside line and stays above it, then yes, great news. More buyers could join in. However, I do have this level here, and although my arrow kind of overshoots this, but this level here, very important. The area around the 1.0792 or even the 1.98 zone. Because the reason I'm keeping this one on the chart for now, not the 1.08 territory, because as you can see, this level here, the low of the 15th of April, near the 1.0792, 93, did kind of provide good resistance, and neither of the daily candles managed to close here throughout the whole May here, as you can see, yep, basically for now, we need to kind of be very careful. So if we pop above this downside line, then yes, great news. Higher levels could be met, but if it doesn't, if it stays here, I'll remain neutral unless it starts dropping below this hurdle, back below the 1.0711 territory right here. Good morning, Kirsten, to you too. Long time no hear. So yeah, I hope you're having a wonderful morning. Yep, jumping into USD Jpy very quickly here. So yes, this one is an interesting as well, because I'll have to kind of fly a little bit through some of these instruments just because I'm running out of time here, and there are a few instruments left. So USD Jpy, I'm still monitoring the situation here, and basically we're very close to this upside line taken from the low of the 6th of January, and in a way, if you want to go for the downside, well, we'll just wait basically for a break of this upside line, because at the same time we'll have a push below the 21-day EMA, we'll have a drop below the, and then if we also drop below the 1.0920 territory right here, now this is where it could become very, very interesting for more sellers. So keep that in mind. For the upside, I'm being very, very careful here, cautious, and probably I'm going to wait for a push above the current highest point of June near the 110.33 zone in order to kind of get a little bit more comfortable with the upside. Now, USD Cad, so of course the main pair to watch today due to the BOC rate decision, and yeah, so far, I mean, we can see that we have broken the downside line. Okay, so we came back yesterday. We came above it, and but remained below the 21-day EMA. So something else to keep an eye on, and that's the reason why I said to you that in order for me to go for some higher levels, I need to see a push above that 1.2133 territory, and you can see clearly why, because we have this obstacle here, the 21-day EMA, which is still holding, and if we clear the 1.2133 territory, this will confirm a forthcoming higher high, guys. GBP CAD, this one is interesting as well, because as you can see, we're also kind of coiling up, kind of getting squeezed here, but not really. But I mean, it depends how you're going to look at it, to be honest. So far, what I'm keeping an eye on here is this barrier, the 1.7171 territory. Beautiful number here, 1.7171. Keeping an eye on it because, as you can see, it's kind of providing good resistance. Previously, it acted as a good support area. Now it's good resistance. If we clear above that, clear that level, then yes, my next target is this downside line taken from the high of the 24th of February. For the downside, I need to see a break of this upside line taken from the low the 7th of May in order to get a little bit more comfortable with lower levels. EURUSD. So this one's the one of the annoying, the way I call it, the annoying one of the annoying pairs, which as you can see, it keeps flirting with this level, the 0.8582 territory. I talked about this one yesterday. We had a break of this downside line as well, but we kind of drifted back below it. So yep, the same kind of game plan remains here. I need to see clear daily candle staying either above this downside line or below this 0.8582 territory, and then I could get a little bit more comfortable with the next short-term directional move. But even then, we need to be very careful because it's Euro GBP we're talking about. But for now, long story short, it's still holding below this downside line. So yep, in a way, a nice. It's still the downside scenario is not off the table. And finally, EURUSD, guys. So again, we're still kind of is within this formation. Again, this is what I said to you yesterday, that it might be maybe a falling wedge or actually a downside channel. Either way, if you want to go for the upside, we need to wait for a violation of the upper side of the formation, and then yes, we could consider maybe some higher levels. But for me to get comfortable with that, I need to see a push above the 1.2266 territory. For the downside, the same game plan remains. The 1.2161 territory is required. Break of it is required in order to consider maybe a little bit of a move lower. Guys, I'll have to wrap it up here. Really thank you very much for joining in and watching this one till the end. Thank you for your views, for your likes, and especially for your comments, guys. Really do. So yeah, thank you very much. Have a wonderful trading day. Stay safe, and I'll see you later. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.